Okay, so my name is Schlogger, and the funny thing is, because I have a lot of German regulations in my presentation, I decided to do it in German, but do the talk in English, so the Dutch people will understand what I'm talking about. But there are so many regulations that you will know the proper word for, that I decided to do it in German. So this means how to become a freelancer or a freelance artist, and hopefully stay. So I said, my name is Schlogger, that's my artist's name. It's from German dialect, which means basically, das ist Schlogger. So this is, I don't even know how to say it. So this is like this, be like that. Same in Dutch. Like loose, locker, okay. Anyhow, I've been a freelancer since 2012. I've been publishing webcomics for free, having published also some books. I'm doing illustrations, animations, and some cartoons, and some other stuff that I'm going to talk about now, so you know who I am and what I do. First thing, I am actually a Master of Science, since I studied media and communication, which is a blah blah studies thingy, and I studied, it's like informatic, is that the English word? What's it? Computer science, arts, and some other stuff like maths and technique, etc., etc., etc. And for my bachelor's degree, I did a comic about breakups. And for my master's degree, I did a comic about fights in relationships, so funny stuff. And because I got lucky, which I will tell about later, my bachelor's degree, which is called Afterwards, about breakups, has been published by Panini, which is the biggest comic publisher in Germany. They also do the DC and Marvel stuff. And then I got to do some Star Wars cartoon books for them and one calendar. And these are actually official, so LucasArts and Disney had to look at them and decided if all of them are okay, and some of them are not okay. You can't do anything mischievous about the characters. Like I had one picture, I had Chewbacca peeing on Coruscant on a hydrant from behind, and that wasn't okay. No, the characters don't pee. They don't ever pee. So that's what I did. And my master's degree, the one about breakups, and also my webcomics are going to be published in 2017 by Popcom, which is a small publisher from Tokyo Pop. But there are two publishers, two names. I also do other comics. These are just two examples where I don't earn any money. I do it with some friends. Some of the other artists are here as well. Yeah. This is called Mondo. There are other comic anthologies I work for. This is one I did about what your food does once it enters your body, obviously. And the other one here is about a blind date where two people meet that don't actually have anything in common but liking games. So they're starting to fight each other with games. Also board games, of course, not only video games. And I published the Fuck Yeah comic calendar, which has been around since 2013. And I'm trying to organize the next one around these days. So if you're interested and you're an artist and you're interested in participating, just come talk to me. It's the same thing as Mondo and Shazam. You won't get paid for doing an illustration, but you will get the calendars for the print price, and you can sell them for the sell price. Well, the print price is around €3, and you can sell them for €20. So that's the thing, okay? And there are around 70 artists in it each year from Germany and other parts of the world. So these are my webcomics. They're called Brain Farts. I started to do my webcomics because after my bachelor's degree, I fell into the artist's hole. I don't know if you know that. After a long project, you're like, what am I going to do with my life? And that's when I started to draw my Brain Farts. You can have a look at them at schlogger.de. They're for free. And I worked at Dedelic Entertainment. This is my connection to the games industry. I started with Deponia 1. My main work was on Deponia 2. Some of my animations are in Liponia 3. I helped out with Night of the Rabbit. And last year I helped out with Anna's Quests. I did animations and illustrations. These are all adventures, 2D point-and-click adventures, which are animated by hand on the computer. And also did a little work for independent studios. What I also earn money from is by doing illustrations like these. So these are called sympathy characters, which you develop for companies. For example, this is Clark. They do insurances, and this is trying to helping them finding their sympathy character, or doing illustration. Oh, this is also a sympathy character. This is Antoinette. She is the sympathy character of the And Me, which is a kind of game to learn how to code. These are some illustrations for some parts of the GDD, the game design document. What I do right now a lot is doing strategic visualizations. And I also, here's one for the e-government Wettbewerb contest, for the e-government contest. And this was quite interesting, these kind of jobs, because they're really big projects got an award. Here, for example, this is from the visualization that was about refugees, because it hasn't been around for that long. That there is one system for the refugees entering Germany, but every Bundesland had their own system. So this had to be awarded because this produced a lot of chaos. And now they have one system, hooray. Or this was about the German Bahn, because they are quite, if you believe it or not, they are quite ahead in being electronic with their systems. And I work for the agency Visual Facilitators, and these are some of my clients that I worked for. These are all strategic visualizations, or what I do a lot but can't show because I usually sign an NDA, so non-disclosure agreement. Do graphic recordings where you go to workshops or talks and you draw what the people are talking about live. So basically when Matthias is talking, I would stand next to him, and the paper is like this big as well, like the whole thing here, and draw what he is saying live while he is saying it. These are graphic recordings. And these are some of the clients that I did for. Ferrero was quite a cool client because they gave every recorder a box of Ferrero products.
BMW must have been great as well.
Yes! Now I have quite a few BMWs at home. I also do, since last year, I'm doing a course on digital imaging and 2D illustrations and animations at the SAE in Hamburg. And at some fairs or cons, stuff like that, I also do readings or workshops, comic figure workshops, etc., etc., etc. So what you're probably thinking right now is, when does she finally stop to talk about herself? Right now, that was just for you to know that who is talking to you. And let me welcome you to the Hamburger Indie Treff in artist style. And the question again. What is a freelancer? A freelancer is someone who doesn't have one boss, but can choose, in the best case, his own bosses. These are the clients. And he can choose to work in different kinds of fields. Like for me, it's cartoons, it's animations, it's graphic recordings, and etc., etc. And he can decide what his time schedule looks like. Like for me, I can sleep until 3 a.m. but work on Sundays at 1 a.m. or stuff like that, and I can go on vacations whenever I want. But on the other hand, what does that mean? If you have no boss to give you work, then you have to look for work for yourself. You don't. If I would just go home and wait for something to happen, then I wouldn't have any work. The other thing is, you're not employed, so if you're getting sick or if you're getting pregnant, you won't get any money for that time that you won't work, that you're not working. So being sick, no money. And, well, of course, there are some regulations that I won't talk about, but are actually quite important. And, of course, you have to pay for your own taxes and social Abgaben, social charges. So if you are employed, you have your boss who gives you your netto wage, which is basically your wage except for all the social charges and all the taxes that he needs to pay. Then you get the money in, as I imagine it, and if someone who is employed can spend all the money on whatever he wants. That is the life, right? And keep all the money. And as a freelancer, you get the money from your clients, which is brutto, and have to keep the money until the end of the year, and then you have to pay it back to the state, which is kind of good, but kind of bad, because you have the money you have to have the money at the end of the year. I'll come back to that later, because it's a fun part. So now question number 1, first part. How do you become a freelancer? The formularities. Do you need a high school diploma or a whatever diploma, bachelor's degree, master's degree? No. No one ever asked me for a diploma, ever, ever, ever. I've had my bachelor's degree when I entered Didelic, but they didn't care at all. What really does matter is your passion, and if you're any good, your style. That will matter for an artist. It's kind of sad, because if you study, well, you don't really need it. You can study if you want to, like for me. And I also studied because I wanted to have the pressure to do a big project at the end and have the time for that. Another advantage of studying is that you have to pay very low health insurance at that time. So right now I have to pay around, you have to pay around 250, and as a student you only have to pay 75 euro a month.
That increased.
Okay, that increased. But it's still less than half of it. The other thing, do you need to register a trade, or in German ein Gewerbe anmelden? As an artist, you don't have to do that. That is something that artists ask themselves quite a lot, but you don't have to do that. That is only the case if you produce something that you sell to a lot of people and it's not something unique. An art is something unique, so you don't have to register a trade for that. So the one thing you have to do at first is basically just go to your finance agency, to your Finanzamt, and ask them, that is going to be a fun word, and ask them for the, let me have a look at it, for the Form for Fiscal Recording, das Formular zur steuerlichen Erfassung, which looks like this. Well, you can see it quite well. The Fragebogen zur steuerlichen Erfassung, it is 9 pages, and you can get it online. I got that online, but you can also get it via post, and they also send you a little thingy that helps you fill it out, or you can ask some friends, which is, it's quite, it's not that hard to fill out, but at first you'll be like, employ me, someone. Then you get that, and they'll send you your taxes number back, your Steuernummer. And tada, you're a freelance artist, and now my talk is over. No, okay. That is the one thing you have to do. And the other thing is, technically, you have to be in the Künstlersozialkasse, which is the artist's social fund. Why is it quite good to be in the Künstlersozialkasse? Because the Künstlersozialkasse, or the artist's social fund, is basically your boss. So they pay half of your social charges for you. This sounds quite well at the beginning, but I have to pay exactly the same as before, but it includes my pension fund, which I wasn't paying at all before. So right now I'm still with my old insurance health fund, the Krankenversicherung. You can choose that yourself. Then you ask them, give me a letter for the Künstlersozialkasse, and then it basically, they both make it out what to do with each other, and I just pay the Künstlersozialkasse the money that they calculated for me, and they pay the rest to the state. Why do they do that? Are these good people that just want to pay money to artists? No. Basically, every client that has ever paid an artist pays 5.2% into the Künstlersozialkasse. So they're already paying for you. So it would be kind of stupid to not reaching into the Künstlersozialkasse. There are some disadvantages of Künstlersozialkasse which I don't know exactly. Like, for example, if you go out of there, you can't ever go in. I think that's the thing. And the other thing is the Künstlersozialkasse acts like there's something special, and you have to prove that you are living off of the artist stuff. So you have to send them bills that you wrote from the last half a year. You have to prove that you work off what I just said. I sent them prospects of me and my books and stuff like that. They didn't believe me. So, but I think they're quite arbitrary at who they believe and who they don't believe. And they asked me, no, we don't believe you. Tell us, send us another bill. I sent them another bill, and it was okay. So just do what they say, and it's okay, because they're basically, if you have to be in there, so they're just kind of bitching around, pretending to be something special.
You can also apply that if you're a game designer or anything where you are creating stuff, or if you're a writer. You just need to prove it, and you have to be lucky that you have someone who listens to you and isn't entitled like an ass. So just try your luck.
But I don't like if you change your if you change a lot. If you say 1 year, yeah, now I'm I'm an artist, and next time you say, oh, now I do clay sculptures, and they, oh, wait a moment. So they don't like if you change your profession.
Yeah.
And most of the time they don't like coders. So sorry for you guys.
And you have to tell them what you think you're gonna earn, and based on this assumption, they're gonna calculate your what you have to pay. So you could lie and tell them you're gonna earn 10 euro the whole year and pay very few for the year. But they're doing like taxes do. They're doing random tests. So don't lie too much to them. What you need at any case, before was what you need what you need legally, what you need at any case is an online portfolio. Anyone who doesn't have an online portfolio, I will just do this to them. Because if you're not online, no one will gonna know about you. You have to have an online portfolio, and it's so easy to make an online portfolio, and it's cheap. Just use WordPress, or even easier, use Tumblr. Just throw your pictures, your JPEGs in there, and you're done. So of course you need a computer or something like this, and you need to be contacted in some way. Is it via email or via phone or Skype is enough, or smartphone that you can check your emails on? That's all enough. But have an online portfolio and the proper equipment for it. What I suggest you have is be a part of the illustrators organization. They are a union basically for you. And what this will cost you if you're a student, or if you have been a student the year before, it will cost you 120 euro a year, and you will have to pay 120 euro for the next 2 years. Or if you're not a student anymore like me, or haven't been for last year, you have to pay 240 euro. But you can deduct this money. So it's basically no money, because at the taxes at the end of deduct means absetzen, because I didn't know that vocabulary. Ihr könnt das absetzen am Ende mit der Steuer. You can deduct that money. What does the illustration organization, what is it good for? It is good for, it gives you an automatic Rechtsschutzversicherung. Let me have a look at what it is in English. Legal expenses insurance. So if there's a client that doesn't want to pay, or if someone steals your stuff, you have insurance for that. Or there are a lot of lawyers where you can just ask them. You get a free lawyer. You get a lawyer who helps you. Let me put it that way. They making promotions for you. So you can give them your portfolio, and they will link you to clients and stuff like that. And the most important thing, I think, except for the insurance thingy, is that you can ask any dumb questions there. You can already do kind of that on Facebook, but this is official on Facebook if you know the right people. But you can ask anything there, and you can be sure it is the right answer. And the other thing is, being a union, it helps making the job stronger. It helps representing. So this is a good thing for all of the illustrators, yes, in Germany.
Is it just for illustrators or also for other artists?
Like what? Like game designers?
Game designers or...
I don't know about game designers. What was the other thing, sorry?
Other kinds of drawings, so not just illustrating something, also
Ah, you mean like technical drawings or stuff like that? I wouldn't know. But you can ask these people because they want you to be a part of them, so obviously they're going to help you. I'm not sure about that. The other thing is, I don't know this in English, and the other thing is, I don't know about it at all. I just put it in there because I know it's there. I didn't have any of the Gründungszuschüsse, so grants for existence building, because I think there are quite a lot in Germany that I don't know about, and you just have to inform yourself about that. Another thing I didn't put in here, because I didn't know the English word for that now, because I forgot it, is the Verwertungsgesellschaft Bild und Kunst. So I think the proper translation would be Utilization Society Picture and Art. They are somewhat the same as the Künstlersozialkasse, as people, for example, who are building copy machines, automatically pay money to them. So there's a big pot of money, and you can just reach into that pot of money. I think you get at least 50 euro. That is if you don't tell them that much. Well, tell is a stupid word. You have to, they're like verwerten any rights that are out there probably for you. Like, for example, someone got some pictures of you from the internet, printed it out and made a copy of it and used it in their school. These are theoretical rights that you get money for. You get money for every book you published the year before, or any illustration that has been used by you the year before, so it's also always for the year before. And the funny thing about comics, that they count every panel, so you know the frame around the panel, around the picture in the comic, as one illustration. So in the comic book you can count any panel for itself, and it counts as one in the comics. It counts as one if you have it online. It counts as one if you have it online on Facebook, I think. So every instance of the illustration counts. This is work you have to do yourself. If you go there, you just have to, I think, write them an email that you're interested. Then they send you a letter. You have to fill it out, and then bam, you're a part of them. And the other thing is, if you're having a number of all these things I just mentioned, it looks way more professional on your bills. You know? Do you have a question?
No.
Okay, sorry.
I have a question. What was the name again?
Verwertungsgesellschaft Bild und Kunst. VG Bild und Kunst. So it's free money, technically. Second thing, how do I get jobs? How do you get to have jobs? Easy answer to Werbung, promotion. Advertising, genau. This is me, this is what I can do, advertise yourself. How do you advertise yourself? Of course, you mentioned online portfolio, the illustration organization where you can send your portfolio, which can be a PDF or just a link to your online portfolio. In earlier days, Divine Art was quite famous, not so much anymore, Behance or stuff like that. This is passive advertisement for yourself, because you just put it out there and wait for people to find you. You can also be active. You can go on all these platforms that you know, these two are quite important for illustrators because they merely function on pictures. And here, as mentioned, you can also talk to people and get some jobs, or just like I do, share all the stuff, talk to people, help people, ask people stuff. It's not only advertising, it's also networking, boom boom, that's a big word. Networking is quite important, of course, being active in the digital world. Also, you can go be active in the real world. This is for the comic artists. If you're having a comic in your drawers anyway, you could send them to Shazam. They are publishing once a year. This is the German's biggest comic anthology. Why should you do that? Why could you do that? That's a better way to say it. Because it gives you, it makes you, makes people notice you, because you're in the anthology. Plus, you get a fair seat at any fair they're going to. And you can sign the books. And tell people, I will be signing my comic book at this place. Or you can have a stipendiums of English. Scholarships. Comic scholarships, there are quite several. I think it's a comic scholarship, and this is the comic book prize. comic book award, and these will give you 5,000 for finishing your comic book, and these will give you 15,000 for finishing your comic book. So it's just, if you're having money anyway and you can't find a job or you're in between jobs, this is something you could also consider. Then the other thing is, go active around in the real world. The important thing is to have a card like this. This is my card. This is a bad card because I didn't put any contact information. This is just, what I do. I'm really good at organization, but forgetting the one important thing. That is my thing. So I did have fun with doing the card, but forgot to put my email address on that. But my website is on it, at least. So this is a card. You need a card, and cards are so cheap, so there are no excuses. 100 cards cost you $10. This is nothing. And you can also go at fairs and cons and use your cards and give them anyone. You don't have to have your own table. You can just walk around and talk with people just like you're doing here, which is a great first step. Congratulations, everyone. And like here are a few things, like comic concerned and a few gaming concerned that are just in 1 year. So there are a lot of cons and fairs that you can attend, and they're everywhere. And I've been to almost any of them, so ask me if you have any questions. And what is good about that, you can deduct it. So if you, what was the word? Not deduct, was it? Deduct, yes, deduct. You can just absetzen. So the money for print stuff you can deduct. The money for travel expenses you can deduct. Stuff like that, because you need it for your work. The other thing, of course, to get jobs, except for advertising, is to look for jobs on the platforms of the companies you like to work for. So you go to the websites, any company has a job part where you go and just have a look at if they have something that interests you. Like for me with the Delic, I needed an internship, and I saw that the Delic offered an internship, but the funny thing is, funny story, but the funny thing is they need someone to animate, and I didn't know how to animate. I just had done a few animations for myself with Flash and like one with Photoshop, and I just talked to the people at the Delic, and it was a good talk, and so I got the job. That's the story. And I learned how to animate at the job. So what the point of the story is, what companies say they need for a job is not necessarily what you have to apply for the job. And another thing, my experiences with the games industry is that you have to, as a beginner at least, you have to make an internship. With at the SAE, the students think once they get their master's degree or bachelor's degree, anyone will give them a job. No. And they can work as a character design artist as their first job. No. The first thing with me and all the people I talk to is that you have to have an internship at the beginning. But the good thing is, once you're in there, the door opens. So you meet a lot of people. Most companies will try to keep you if you're good. The bad thing is, you don't get any money or very little money. And another thing that is quite difficult is Scheinselbstständigkeit, so fake self-employment. Technically, if you work for one client and earn more than 80% of your income, and the client tells you where you have to work, mostly at their bureau, and the client tells you when to work, these are just a few indications that it's a Scheinselbstständigkeit. And technically, if someone would find out, there would be they have to, technically, because they would have to employ you and pay all the social charges for you, which they don't. You have to pay them yourself as a freelancer. So technically, they'd have to pay them back back to 4 years, or get to prison or whatever. It's kind of just so you have to pay attention to that. And another thing is, you have to be lucky. This is luck often comes with work, of course, but a little luck is always in the game. Just like for me, when I finished my bachelor's degree, I desperately wanted a publisher to publish it, and any publisher I sent it to said, "Bah, we don't want that. This looks stupid." So I put it on mycomics.de. I don't know why I put it there. It was just the first thing that I heard about, and I didn't know it belongs to Panini Comics, which was my luck. This was my luck, and the other thing was that some people thought it would be good and asked me to get published. So I didn't even write to them, but they found me. And the other thing is I went to the Magnology, which is like the smallest con in Germany, and not only met the love of my life there, but also got someone from Visual Facilitators was there and talked to me because he liked my stuff, which is the agency that I work for now. Not all the time, but sometimes. So, third thing is, I don't know the time.
We have some 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. So, third thing, now I have jobs, that's it, right? Unfortunately, no. Now here's the time of the numbers. You have a client now who wants to have you work for them, and he asks you, what will it cost me? And then you have to think about, what am I worth? Or to ask you the better question, what do I need to survive? And here I have some numbers. Kannst du mir das Buch mal geben? From this book, it means it's called Zeichnen als Beruf from Christina Germann, which I can recommend to anyone. She has a lot more information than me, but it's a book, and I'm not a book right now. What do I need to survive? Here are some numbers. Let's just assume that a normal employed person earns 40,000 euro a year, brutto, and you as a freelancer have to earn earn more than this, because you have to pay for your own Betriebsausgaben, for your own expenses and your own social charges. So this is 1/3 more. So you have to earn as a freelancer this number, 53,000 euro a year, brutto, which means that throughout the year, 215 days these are the days that you're going to be working. These are 5 days a week, technically, 30 days vacation, and 11 days of sickness. So 215 days, which means 248 euros a day, which is 31 euros an hour, concerning an 8-hour day. But as a freelance artist, you won't ever work 8 hours a day, any day. What is much more likely is that the best thing you can do, because you have to do all this stuff, acquise, answer your mails, answer your phone, do advertise yourself, and administrating stuff. So the best case is 4 hours a day of actual drawing. So you have to charge at least 62 euros per hour. Of course, this is also the number that the illustration organization recommends. Of course, some clients you can charge more, and some clients you will charge less. But this is the sum you need to survive, to cover your basic expenses, to have money at all left at the end of the tax. Once you know your Stundenlohn, what you're going to charge per hour, you have to write your bills. My bill looks like this, and what you need for it to be legal and for your clients to accept them are these few points. So your name and address of the client. You have to have a bill number. You don't have to start with number 1, just start with any number you want to, but the bills have to be, the number has to be continual bill, so in a row. You have to write down what you did for the client when you send them the stuff. You have to include the tax, the turnover tax, die Umsatzsteuer. If you're not a Kleinunternehmer, a small something, I'll get to that right away. Turnover tax for an artist is 7%. There's also 19%, but that's not for us. And you have to include your tax number or your turnover tax identification number. If you, however, are a Kleinunternehmer, a small business person, which you are, if you haven't earned over 17,500 euro Umsatz, so not Gewinn, so everything you earned without having subtracted your expenses, then you are a Kleinunternehmer. Did that make sense? So at last year I earned 17,501 euro, so the next year I'm going to be I'm not going to be a Kleinunternehmer anymore, so I have to put the turnover tax on my bills. Right? The turnover tax, the Umsatzsteuer, is kind of annoying because you have to do more taxes at the end of the year. You have to calculate them in your bills. Well, not here. You have to calculate them in your bills. And the thing what I mentioned earlier, you get money that is not yours. And you have to pay that back at the end of the year, which has advantages and disadvantages. If you are professional, which I am not, then you have an extra account for the Umsatzsteuer, so you put it there and you won't ever get in danger of touching that. So the taxes, another number thing that is important for you. What are taxes? Taxes are all your bills combined, the number, and what you earned by that, minus subtracted all the expenses you had. This is your Gewinn. This is your profit that you have at the end. Of course you have your bills somewhere, digital, I hope. But what about all these expenses? How do you tell the finance people? Oh, of course, and remember what I just said. You also have to pay the turnover tax. How do you tell the finance people what you bought? By having a lot of receipts and a lot of bills. But if you don't have them, you can't prove that you bought that. So you have to keep all that. Do you know for how long you have to keep them? For 10 years. Okay. And you have to keep them for 10 years if they ever check on you. So the thing is, the best case, you have every bill and receipt in digital and analog form. So print any receipt and bill that you get and scan every bill and receipt that you get. Because a lot of them are put on, the thermal paper, which gets brighter and you lose your numbers, then you won't be able to, maybe you have to pay them back if they check you out. This is stupid, but okay, if the state wants us to do that, we'll do it. So what is the conclusion of that? Chaos, no good. Being organized, good. Because it will help you at the end to save money. Because you will have some files, and on the computer, what you have on the computer is this. I love Excel. And this is, for example, this is my income Tabelle. Income table, thank you, my income table. And where I have all the Rechnungsnummern, the bill numbers, what I earned, what the turnover tax is, when I sent the bill and when it got paid. It is important when it got paid because you have to pay the taxes in the year that they got paid. So if you post a bill in December but the client pays you in January, you don't have to pay taxes for this job in the year of the December, but the year after. So that's what some people do, like just push their bills into the next year if they know they're, for example, if you want to stay as Kleinunternehmer and you want to stay under that magic line of 17,500, then you can push some bills into the next year, for example. And the good thing is that I don't have to calculate what 7% are myself, but the table does it for me. Same thing is with my expenses. It's important when you paid the money. Like here for the Gamescom, I paid the Gamescom ticket in March, but the train I paid in July, so it's a different quarter. I sort the expensive, which is just for me because I like stupid things like that. And oh, what I haven't mentioned, I have a tax guy. I don't do that myself. Because I don't know why, I just thought I should have that, but I can deduct it, at least the turnover tax. And so here are some things that you can deduct. And I'm a person who tries to deduct everything. So I went to see the Deadpool movie trying to deduct the tickets. Every time I'm buying a comic, trying to deduct it. Every time I'm trying to buy a book, because I'm technically an author, because I wrote my book. Technically, every book I buy is for research. And any animations movie I see or comic movie I see is for research. So I try to deduct it. But some things I don't even know if I can deduct it, so I give them my tax guy saying, can I deduct them? But I just still keep them and just ask him in case it's okay. And Anke Günther, I don't know if she's here from Beard Shaker, told me a few days ago that you can actually deduct your glasses, which I didn't know. So there are quite a few things to just keep everything and scan everything and live in a house bill made out of bill. Okay, and I do my turnover tax myself. That is one thing I do myself online on elster.de, which is quite easy. Don't pay your tax, don't pay a tax guy for that, because you just have to fill out two forms. Not forms, two Felder.
Colors.
Two columns. No, Felder, no, ein Feld. Fields, two fields. And therefore you need your list and need to know at what quarter you paid what. If your taxes for 2016 you have to do until the end of May 2017, so the 31st. State says thank you. But if you have a tax guy, you can delay that until the end of December. So this is one advantage. You can, if you're a chaos guy, you can just put that off until the end of the year. And I think I somehow forgot my taxes for 2014. And my tax guy was able to push it until not only this, but even 1 year after that in March. So there are quite a few things that tax guys can do. So the conclusion, how to become a freelance artist and stay it, hopefully, is the first thing, be passionate about what you do. That is the most important thing. If you don't do it, then you won't have anything to show. You have to be kind of proud of your work, which is quite hard for artists, I know that. But you have to say to some people, this is what I do, this is what I'm good at. You have to fill out the forms, but you can do it, because it's actually not that much in the beginning. It's just a formula of für steuerliche Erfassung at the beginning. Then to get people to know you and to get jobs is to advertise yourself and to network, which you're already doing, which is great. And if you're into the business, just being kind of organized so you don't have to go, where's that stuff? I don't remember. And the other thing that I'm quite fond of is one part of luck. So if you think you can do this and you have these kind of skills, then, as I said, do it! Thank you.
Someone say we can ask 3 questions and then you're still around after the talks, right? So after the talks you can ask the shit out of her, but we have a time schedule, so 3 questions.
Or no questions?
No one, what?
Well, then I
Right
can.
here.
Yes.
One challenging question in regards to your hourly rate.
Yes.
Okay, let's say we have an indie game company, and they consist of 3 guys, and they need 2D art for their game, no matter what game it is, concept art or whatever, interface, and they have a lot of work to do, but they don't have any money, and then they ask you, could you do some art for us? How much? This is what we want to do. You need to do the entire interface. How much does it cost? You know, what do you do?
What would I do as a professional? I would, as I would recommend, honestly, is show them what you would charge, what you would really charge. So these people know what you are giving them if you're offering them a lower price. And at best, people pay your highest price. So always ask for the highest price at the beginning. You can verhandeln anyway. Negotiate, yes. Especially, I think at one point you get to know which people you can ask for more money and which people you can ask for less money. And if you want to do the jobs which are not that much money. Of course, there will always be jobs that are a hard project, also hard, not hard, that you can decide yourself whether you want to do that. But two things. The one thing is for a project that lasts longer, I tend to charge less money as well because it's a longer project. You work longer on, you have more time to work on it. But on the other thing, you work longer on that project. So you will get frustrated if you work too long on a project and don't get paid enough, well enough. So this is a hard thing. You have to look at it. Are these people organized? Won't it cost you much more time than you calculated in the beginning? And stuff like this. So I can't give you an actual number because it depends on a lot of things. How organized are you? How much do you like your project? How well do you think you will do in the future? Stuff. Because I have to work with you, and I get to choose my own clients and stuff like that. And so on. No, that's not a good answer.
I would have some follow-up questions, but I don't.
Okay, you can ask me that later. Okay.
Next question. Anyone?
So if no one has any question, I forgot to mention, to advertise myself. On the table there, I put some of my projects of my books and some of my cards with my contact on them. Some of my the cards and postcards you can take if you want to have a look at the comics and have a look at the Fachjahr calendar of last year if you want to be a part of that, and just have a go and talk to me if you want to. Thank you.